Apparently my wife's infidelity is not even the worst part. I met my 23 male wife, 23 female, almost 5 years ago. We got married a little over 2 years ago. We were an excellent match and always loved being together and doing the things we loved. I had never been so sure about anything in my life when I decided to marry her. We had been living in a town about 4 hours from where we originally met while I was working full-time and she was going to school full-time and working part-time. I was presented with an opportunity to transfer within my company and move back to the town we had met. This had been something we had wanted for our future but did not expect it to come this soon in our lives. We didn't have very long to think about it because my work needed an answer in a few days. We decided to go through with it. However, we still had a lease going at our current home for about 3 more months. So we decided that she would stay there until the lease was up and then move up with me afterwards. This most definitely tested our relationship and made things more difficult, but from what I could tell, we were making things work. Finally, she was able to move back up with me. Everything went smooth and we were finally settled in. Then, for some reason it seemed like everything changed. She was extremely irritable and we fought all the time. I know there were parts where I could have done better as well, but overall almost every one of these fights ended up being my fault. She made me feel like I was the worst husband in the world and that no matter how hard I tried to make her happy, it always backfired on me. She had gone down to only a few classes at the college here and started working full-time instead. She always seemed very depressed and always seemed to be hiding things from me. I'm not really the type to snoop and look through people's phones, but there was most definitely something she was hiding from me on there. She had changed her password and deleted my fingerprint. We had always been very trustworthy with each other and didn't have anything to hide, so this was a huge red flag for me. I more or less brushed it off, but it still bothered me a lot. A little over a year ago she decided she wanted to move to a city 2 hours from here so she could finish her degree faster. It was very bad timing considering I had also just found another job with much better pay and hours that I could not let go. So I helped her find an apartment and moved her down there. We hadn't been in the best place anyway, so my thought was maybe that the distance would make our hearts grow fonder. I traveled down there every other week and she came here whenever she could with her busy schedule. Things were still not going well and they didn't seem to be getting any better no matter how hard I tried. She traveled up here at the end of December last year and told me that we need to talk. We finally did the last day she was here. Basically she told me that she was unsure of our relationship and where it was going but did not directly tell me she wanted a separation or divorce. A few days after she had gone back home, I drove down to her after I got off work to talk to her and try to save our marriage. I didn't tell her I was coming, but she called me when I was about 15 minutes away. When I told her I was almost there, she told me to turn around and go home. I was devastated and hung up the phone not knowing what to do or expect. She called me back and said she could meet me but she had plans with her friends and can't talk very long. When I asked her if I should just meet her at her apartment, she said no and that we need to meet in a parking lot somewhere else. I confronted her and asked what she was hiding and she threw it back at me. So I met her in this parking lot where we sat and both cried. I asked her what she wanted and she told me she wasn't sure but she doesn't think we can make this work. She said she wanted different things now and couldn't give me what I wanted. I told her that I would go out of my way and change to keep her in my life. She left me there and went to her friend's place. I drove the 2 hours back home crying the whole time. We talked on the phone the next day and I told her I need an answer. I want to hear her say that she wants a divorce if that's really what she was pushing for. Sure enough, she finally said it. But I couldn't accept her reason for leaving. Something else must have happened. She insisted that was what it was and that she wanted to focus on herself. I pushed and pushed trying to get closure and asked her many times to tell me if she cheated. I told her that would give me more closure than what she's telling me now, but she wouldn't budge. It took me about 4 months to start moving on with my life. I was finding happiness again doing things that I loved and even started dating a little bit. The thought of her being gone still bothered me. We actually even talked about once a week and were civil with each other. There still didn't seem to be any hope of us getting back together anytime soon, but at least we were actually able to talk to each other without issues. She knew I was dating, I knew it bothered her, but I know at the same time she was happy for me. The car she was driving was also in my name. It needed a repair and it was going to be too expensive for her to take it to a shop, so I agreed to fix it to help her out. She brought it to me about a week ago. I fixed it and we talked about our relationship and where we went wrong. It was a calm discussion with no issues, but at the end she started to get upset and said, "I made mistakes that I'm not proud of." This was not something she had said before, so it concerned me and made me even more suspicious of her cheating. I didn't want to fight, so I left it alone. We ended up going to breakfast together and actually had a good time. I had really missed her. She went back home and that was that. The following morning she texted me that she had a good time with me. Then she said she was confused and unsure about us. So I asked her why she didn't want to tell me about her mistakes. She told me that I had no idea how bad it was and that she had already been punished enough by it. So I kept pushing and pushing, trying to get it out of her. I couldn't just drop it at this point as my mind was making so many assumptions. She asked me what I was assuming. I told her that I know that she cheated. I just don't know where, when, and with who basically. She wouldn't really say much. I kept pushing. She said she was getting sick talking about it and that we need to talk about it later since she was in class. She told me to assume the worst and I would probably be right. So I asked her if she got pregnant and she didn't say anything. She told me we just need to talk later. A few hours later she called me. I asked her if I was right about her getting pregnant. She said yes. I asked if she got an abortion. She said yes. She told me it happened 2 summers ago when I moved back up here. Only a few months after we had gotten married. She said she got drunk and went home with a guy. The protection broke, she took Plan B but still ended up pregnant. Everything in me wanted to know who it was, but at the same time, I knew that it wasn't worth messing up my own life because of him. I was so angry at her and didn't know what to do. So many things started to make sense and I realized that all the hard times we had in the last 2 years were not because of me being a bad husband, they were because she was hiding this from me and the guilt was overwhelming her. She couldn't say anything else besides that she was sorry. She told me she had been suicidal because of it and wished she had never told me. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to hold grudges, and honestly I hope that I can forgive her for doing this to me. I also understand that this was extremely difficult for her to go through as well, so I'm not trying to make it seem like I'm being selfish here. But I was finally finding happiness again and she hit me with this. This is the woman I fell in love with and wanted to spend the rest of my life with. Obviously, in order to forgive her, I will need to make sure we have everything out on the table. It will take time and patience to be able to begin to trust her again. I truly want to be with her again, but I want to avoid any possible issues that will arise in our current lives. She still has another 1.5 years of school to finish, so we wouldn't be able to leave together given my current work situation. I know I still need time to process this and to try and think of which direction I want to go. Do I actually forgive her for this horrible thing and start my life with her again? Or do I go on living my life trying to find something new? TL.Dr. My 23 male, wife, 23 female, lied to me for the last 2 years and made me feel like the worst husband ever because she was hiding her cheating and getting pregnant from me the whole time. I cheated on my boyfriend, I got pregnant, had an abortion, and he took me back. The fine details of our stories are different, but the bare bones are identical. I'm no expert, but I'll try to give you some perspective of what you're getting into just from my personal experience. I know my boyfriend doesn't trust me as much as I wish he could. What I did has left a lasting imprint on our relationship. For example, when I receive any kind of attention, he has an automatic response from the insecurity I instilled in him when I betrayed his trust. I feel like I have to hold back aspects of my personality when we are in a crowd because I know he feels threatened when a person he doesn't know shows interest in me as a person. He has shown a real effort to not react as drastically as he used to. I know how hard that is for him, so it means a lot to me. I couldn't imagine life without him. He's my best friend and I love him with all my heart. But there still remains a few lingering issues that gnaw at my brain. 1. Should I let him go? He deserves to be with someone he can trust. Someone that he can sleep next to at night knowing they haven't betrayed him in an unspeakable way. Would he be happier? Would breaking up with him only break his heart all over again, or would I be setting him free from an unhealthy relationship? Am I truly what he wants/needs/deserves? 2. Will our relationship always be strained? Will I forever be walking on eggshells and riddled with guilt? And if so, is that what I want for myself? I hope this helps you with your decision. And coming from someone who has not experienced your pain, but that has caused it in another innocent soul. From the bottom of my heart, I am sorry you've been through this hell. It gets better. My God, dude, your wife is a total POS. Stop making excuses for her. Your impulse to want to work things out with her is totally misguided. You don't have kids. End it now and move on while you are still young. Also, no way she only cheated once. A woman like this probably cheated on you the whole time you were apart. She cheated one time and is the most unlucky person in the world because she cheated once, used protection, used Plan B, and still got pregnant? Lastly, no one else mentioned her freaking out when she found out you were nearby and not allowing you to visit her but instead had to meet in a parking lot, and for only a short period of time. You know she had a guy at her place or evidence of it she didn't have time to hide, or she was hiding you from another man. Right? There is no other way that whole parking lot thing makes sense. She did not want you in her place for a reason. I'm guessing no one else mentioned this because your post was just so choked full of horrible stuff that this was just drowned out. I got pregnant with my affair partner. I feel so horrible, but I feel like I need to tell someone about this, and this Reddit community might be the only place I won't get screamed at for doing what I did. So, I've been seeing a guy from my gym for the last 4 months. We originally got close because he gave me tips for training to get in shape for my wedding in September. He's a personal trainer. I really like him, and I just couldn't resist him when he made advances towards me. He's helped me really get fit and has also helped me with sexual release, which I really didn't get enough of since my fiancé travels and has low libido anyway. I'm on the pill, but I guess it didn't work because a few days ago I realized I'm pregnant. I have no idea what to do now. I don't know how I'll terminate it without my fiancé finding out. I'm super scared. I don't even know if I have it in me to get an abortion, but if I don't, my relationship is over. I feel so horrible. And I just wanted to get this off my chest. Edit. I'm almost 100% it's my affair partners. My significant other and I don't have sex that much and the dates just don't line up. He was gone for all of January. I suppose there is a 1% chance or so it could be my SOs. I don't want to play the pass my baby off as his game though. I know I really made a serious mistake. But I'm not leaving him. You keep saying there is a reason why you aren't having sex and it is temporary. If you knew this in yourself and love your SO as you claim, why didn't you just wait it out? I'm just going on assumptions, it could be anything, but if you knew this was a temporary issue, whether that is your own issue or his, why not wait and afford him the opportunity for the temporary issue to be resolved? I was due to be married later this year, fell in love with another man, and came to the realization that the wedding is a sham and I'd be starting my married life on a lie, and it would be totally unfair on my ex-SO and I also just didn't want it. Personally, I would get out of the relationship whilst you can. A divorce is messy. A lot messier when you are just cohabiting. I only left him last week. It sucks. But, that being said, I am not going to lead him into a false marriage for whatever messed up excuse I had before. It's not fair and he deserves better. Leave him, let him find someone who can respect the temporary issue, and go your separate ways. In terms of termination, that's something only you can decide. It's a personal decision. It's one I made myself and actually, was the best decision for me at the time even though I didn't deem it to be and I struggled for a while. I'm so sorry for the situation you're in. This is a nightmare scenario for people on this sub, most of whom are cheaters including myself. Being a man, I'm not going to pretend to be able to give you the best advice on how to handle the pregnancy. But I will echo the fact that you're not married yet and already cheated on your fiancé says something about the possible future issues your marriage will have. Personally, I'd call off the wedding and take time to figure myself out as why I'd let something like this happen. Another consideration is possible complications from terminating the pregnancy. I've known many women that suffered from medical issues trying to conceive later in life as a result of complications from an abortion. Imagine trying to explain to your husband that you can't have a child with him because you had to terminate a pregnancy from an affair while you were engaged. Your fiancé will also wonder if the child could have in fact been his. If there's even a chance it's not from your AP, and your fiancé finds out, he will question if you possibly terminated your fiancé's child. There's just no coming back from that. I'm not sure how likely any of this is, But these are still possibilities you should consider. Your mind and emotions are probably all over the place right now. Any decision you make will sit with you the rest of your life. I've known some very pro-choice women that had to terminate unplanned pregnancies, and it affected them emotionally for years. At very least, talk to an IC and try to sort yourself out before getting married if you can. If you decide to terminate, absolutely plan for IC. If you go through with the wedding, and take this secret to your grave, just dedicate yourself to being the best wife imaginable. Leave a life with your husband that makes you able to keep looking at yourself in the mirror with pride. I honestly hope for the best for you.